I think maybe we should go for another speaker. It's Sunny in the house. So.
Okay. Comrade Sani is in the house. Shehu Sani.
How to create, not Sancho Sani. Sani how to create.
Sorry, Juan, I can't hear you. Who did you say?
There is Sani Atukri in the house. Sani Atukri, not Shehu Sani. Sani Atukri. His name is Sani. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it, but it's in the house. Sani Atukri.
Okay. So can you find
Dr. Chidi
can you raise your hand, Comrade Sani Said Atukri? So we can locate you and take you off mute. Can you unmute yourself, please? Comrade Sani. Hello, Comrade Sani. Can you please unmute yourself?
I'm in fact trying to locate him now. But Dr. Chidi is in the house. There's Dr. Chidi in the house as well. I can see him. Dr. Chidi is in the house as well.
Okay, Dr. Chidi, are you here? I see Comrade. Okay, I'm asking him to unmute. Okay, Comrade Sani's Said Atukri.
Yes, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Okay, so I would like to introduce Comrade Sani Said Atukri. He is from Zaria LGA, Kaduna State, an economic fellow, the secretary of the Coalition of the Northern Groups, the Student Wing, an advocate, a public affairs commentator, a liberalist, the Kaduna Northern Senatorial District Revolution Now Movements coordinator, and an advocate for good governance. You're very welcome, Comrade.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So you are going to open us up today. We want to ask, the first question I have for you is, why is the history of the June 12th democracy struggle important to us today? And what lessons can we learn?
Okay.
And if you can please answer in 7 minutes, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving me this wonderful opportunity. I found it very prestigious to speak on this very great occasion, a very memorable one indeed. However, Democracy Day is June 12th, a national public holiday in Nigeria. But until June 12th, until then, until June 6th, 2018, it was held annually on the 29th May. It marks the day the military handed over power to an elected civilian government in 1999, marking the beginning of the longest continuous civilian rule since Nigeria's independence from colonial rule in 1960. It is a tradition that has been held annually beginning in the year 2000. June 12th was formerly known as Abiola Day, celebrated in Lagos, Nigeria, and some southwestern states of Nigeria. Nigerian Democracy Day is a public holiday to commemorate the restoration of democracy in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. May 29 was initially the official Democracy Day in Nigeria, marking when the newly elected Olusegun Obasanjo took office as the president of Nigeria in 1999, and the multiple decades of military rule that began in 1966 and had been interrupted only by a brief period of democracy in 1979 to 1983, if I'm not mistaken. On June 6th, 2018, 8 days after May 29th, 2018, it has been celebrated as Democracy Day. The President Buhari-led federal government of Nigeria declared June 12th to be the new Democracy Day. So this is just a brief history of how June 12th came to be as a national public day, public holiday. But the issue is, we've been echoing Democracy Day, June 12th, for so long. I have this question in mind to ask. In Nigeria, are we really practicing what is called democracy? Talk less of celebrating the day as a Democracy Day. As far as I am concerned, we don't even have a democratically functional government in existence. And you can only talk of democracy when you have a functioning, democratically elected government. What are the principles that governs the existence of a democratically elected government? Some are freedom of expression, freedom of association, protections of the lives and properties of citizens and even foreigners. But the order of the day is that we don't have all this in existence in the country. So I think practically we are still not practicing democracy, or we have nothing to celebrate in democracy because we have nothing to show for now. So what's the need of even celebrating it? To me, it sounds somehow. Instead of democracy, I think we can say we are celebrating a civilian demagoguean rule in the country, not any form of democracy. And you see, going back to history, the president and the present administration of Muhammadu Buhari is similar to the his military administration. Because even of recent, he banned the Twitter in Nigeria, crippling various economic aspects in the country. Because the Twitter generates a lot of money, pump a lot of money to the economy. And as of today, he bans it. And there is no one to ask why. No any prominent Nigerian or opposition is there to ask why, because they are afraid of the repercussion. So it means we don't have democracy. We don't practice democracy. We don't have any form of democratically elected government functioning. More so, several President Muhammad Buhari violated several court injunctions, meaning that our judiciary, which is supposed to be independent, is dependent on the government because they cannot act accordingly. For months now, the judiciary are in a strike. Why? Because the state government refused to give them I think they call it autonomy. The Nigerian judiciary has no autonomy, but dependent. That's why state government and even the federal government influences its decision. It is a tactical way of telling Nigerians that they are not practicing democracy. Today, any sound opposition is tactically imprisoned. Either he is imprisoned in his house, he cannot move freely, or he is there in the prison and there is no one to save him. So by virtue of all this, I can go on and on proving
yes, please,
that...
if you can round up your comments,
okay.
please. Thank you.
I can go on and on, citing examples, given symbols that shows that we are not practicing democracy. Hence, we don't have anything to celebrate and practice. Thank you very much. Hello.
Thank you so much, Comrade, for those comments. You have highlighted very well that we are currently not actually practicing democracy. And so the day that we have actually marked as a democracy day is not actually true to its name and to its form. So thank you very much for your comments. I'm going to move on now to one of our comrades, Dr. Chidi Anwanyu. He is a comrade, a wonderful comrade, an intellectual. He's part of the Take It Back movement, Revolution Now, and AAC Canada. And Comrade Chidi, I want you to take the conversation over and let's discuss more about this failure of democracy. What does democracy mean when the state has failed so many different groups, which our comrade also just spoke about? So I want you to speak specifically about the failure of democracy for the eastern part of Nigeria. Why do groups such as, we know that Biafra came out of many of the failures of democracy, and we're still seeing today various agitations for Biafra, for other ethnic groups are rising up and agitating for their own state. What does that mean for us today? And what are the lessons that we can learn about democracy? And how do we deal with the question of true federalism in Nigeria today? Can you unmute yourself, Comrade Chidi? Or Juwan, if you can do that. I lost his, I was seeing him before. If you can also raise your hand. And please don't raise your hand if you're one of the speakers. It's a little bit hard for us to navigate the
So I'm trying to find it. Okay, I can see him. Dr. Chidi, if you're there, just raise your hand so that we can unmute you. Yeah.
Yes, we can see you. We can see you clearly. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Nigeria has become an unending story. Like it's like a drama that you just put together. Like there's no script here. You just say pretty much like the Nigerian Nollywood movie. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time. You know, Nigerian Nollywood movie, you just gather your friends, say, bros, make we do film. Waiting, we go call the film now. Bros, I don't know, make we just, maybe you get camera, yeah, turn on the camera. I will just hit you. If I hit you, you go hit me back. Then we go just say, now you hit me. Then we go do juju thing. Then as we go, then another friend will come. That's what Nigeria has become. Right from when we set out to have a democracy. We just said it, and then all of a sudden, everything went haywire. You have a place that's supposed to become a democratic republic, where there's supposed to be fairness in everything. There's supposed to be equitable distribution of our common national cake. But you have a group of people, and I need to be understood clearly here. It is unfortunate that this group of people right now have stupidly been identified to cluster in a particular place. But make no mistake about it, that there's only two very, very prominent tribes in Nigeria. That is the tribe of the oppressed and the tribe of the oppressor. And these oppressed people, they are scattered all over every tribe, every religion in Nigeria. It just happens that at this particular time, they seem to be concentrated in a particular tribe. And I'm not going to go there. Nare has asked me to touch about the failure of democracy and the resultant uprising in all different parts of the country, especially in the Southeast. I've always said this anytime I have an opportunity to say that I am an unapologetic Igbo man. I know they hide, I know they take excuse from anybody. That's just really what it is. And I am a child of the Biafran War. I know what I suffered. And I've been very active in Nigerian politics to know that the people of the East have been dealt a very, very bad 419 card in this whole game. How can you explain to me that in a democracy, you will abandon something like the Niger Bridge, which is as old as forever, and just to build a second Niger Bridge is so difficult for you? How can you convince me that in a democracy, you will have so many seaports scattered around the country? You have the seaport in Rivers State, you have the seaport in Calabar, but you would make the Southeasterner, who by the way, is the biggest business person we have in Nigeria, but you will make him leave his shade in Onitsha to travel all the way to Lagos to go and clear his container that came from the high sea. Then when he clears his container from the high sea, he will have to give money at every 1 kilometer on his way back to Onitsha. And you think this guy is going to be happy? He will not be happy with you. And then you look at even somebody, look at people in Plateau State, look at people in Benue State. They wake up every day, you kill a certain number of people. The governor of the state calls you in a democratic republic, in a democratic country, and say, come and do something, they are killing us. And the kind of answer he gets from the federal government is something that is unprintable. So that is the reason why you have these agitations happening. Look, these things are not scripted. Anybody who you sit down and begin to castigate people, why are you people doing this? That's why you don't see me doing that. Because they did not go and sit down and say, let us plan to like the likes of the Sunday Igbohos. He was not there a couple of years back when we were doing our protest. Where was Sunday Igboho? He was not there. But the system created him. And there we have him. Someone like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, he was not there a couple of years back. Nnamdi Kanu was even protesting with the Nigerian flag a couple of years ago in UK. But it is the failure of democracy that will make somebody like him go extreme to where he is going. Because when you push somebody to the wall, they're going to fight back. Just like the Nigerian youth who months ago did not embark on EndSARS. But when they dared to say, no, enough of your killing us, what did you do? When you have pushed them to the wall and they were fighting back, they were holding the Nigerian flag. How patriotic, how more patriotic can you be than that somebody is holding the Nigerian flag and singing the national anthem, and the same military who swore under a democracy to protect its citizens will arm themselves with AK-47 and open fire on the same people that they are elected, the people that own you. It is the citizens that own the military. We pay your salary. You turn your gun on us and you kill us. So I know there's a lot of people that are going to still talk, but everything that you see in Nigeria now is a result of the woeful failure of democracy. We don't have democracy, we have democracy. They have a bunch of crazy people. Thank you so much, Nare, and everybody else.
Thank you, Comrade Chidi. We always enjoy hearing from you, and I'm sure there'll be more questions for you as we move along. I'm going to bring up Comrade Hawa. I'm asking you to unmute, Comrade, if you're able. Can you hear us and can we hear you?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear, Nare.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I gave a brief introduction before, but just to remind for those who are not in the room, Comrade Hawa Mustafa is an activist, a student unionist who's involved in the women's movement and also in the Nigerian Labour Congress. Comrade Hawa, thank you so much for being here today. And the question I want to pose to you is, really like looking forward. We have a lot of young activists in the room today and listening on Facebook. And what can young activists learn from the tactics and the strategies of the struggles for June 12th and pro-democracy? And in particular, because you as an activist, you touch so many different movements. I would love for you to speak about how we can build power between the student union movement, the women's movement, and labor at this time when there is so much oppression and repression of activists across the country. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nare. And I want to also use this opportunity to say big congratulations to the organizers of this forum. I think this is very timely. It's important that we don't forget our history. It's important that if we are looking forward to a journey, we must be able to understand where we are coming from for us to succeed in that journey. Nigeria is still on a path of democracy, is still on a path of development. And for us to get it right, we must be able to look at where we're coming from. And that also goes to the youth. It's important for them to know the history and be able to learn from some of the challenges of yesteryears, how we were able to overcome those challenges and all that. So to respond to your question, let me try to be very focused and brief. The lessons, I think, of June 12th, basically, in terms of the experiences we had, and which some of the younger ones can also build on, is that, first of all, there was a national consensus on what the issue was, what the problem was. It was a very simplified issue that was acceptable nationwide, and which was the issue of democracy. Democracy simply within the context of freedom to choose our leaders. And the idea of the freedom to choose also resonates with the idea of the freedom for expression, freedom for association, freedom, the right to live a decent and dignified life. Because at that point, Nigerians were tired of the military regime, not so much for anything else, but for the fact that military dictatorship, like it says, is dictatorship. It gags people, it enslaves people. It reduces humanity to animals. You are not, you are gagged where there's no freedom of association, no freedom of speech. And in the same context, even the social facilities, the rights of human capital development was also restricted, there was generally no justice under military regime. There is no human justice spread under a military regime. And so there was that common denominator across the country that we needed freedom to express ourselves, to be part of governance. Governance is about the people the freedom to choose and the freedom to also participate in the provision of goods and services and all that. So if you are not part of that process, then there is no democracy. And so people were of that one opinion. Now, that is the major thing. And so for June 12th, it was not about an Abiola, so to say, because let's also be very frank. For some of us that were in the struggle, for democracy, Abiola was just an accidental comrade, so to say. He was accidental comrade. It was not so much of an Abiola. It was much more of what he symbolized. And what he symbolized was democracy. What he symbolized was freedom. So I think we need to get that very right. So for those who also said that once upon a time it was called an Abiola Day, I think it was also correct, to change it from an Abiola Day to Democracy Day, because it was not about an individual. It was about the issue. It was about the symbol. It was about, the concept, the principle that Nigerians generally shared. Having said that, in terms of mobilizing and organizing, again, it is important for us to learn, to understand that one of those things that made June 12th a national issue was that having, first of all, accepted generally, the concept of democracy, that the people wanted to be part of the governance process. It was also important that we mobilized physically across the nooks and crannies of the country, across all the geopolitical zones. And critical organizations were also made to be part of that process of organizing. So therefore, you had the women's movement, under WIN, and other groups, who were part of this process. You had the youth movement, typically led by the National Association of Nigerian Students. Then you had the academia, you had a lot of people. In fact, you had even professionals, like the doctors' associations and so on and so forth. Then, of course, very importantly, you had the trade unions as well. So it was a mass movement, that was organized, that had a buy-in into the process, that believed, that there was a common stake. And then this common stake was also bought in by the different groups. And these different groups, I also must say that there was a national context. That is the most important thing. There was a national context to the mobilization, to the organizing towards June 12th. And I think that's a very critical lesson that we need to understand, in terms of moving forward and organizing for taking back this country and making things right. Now, the lessons, therefore, for the younger ones, I must say, is that look at the fact of the matter that, first of all, there was a unity, in terms of understanding what the issues are and breaking it down. So you did not personalize the issue. There was no ethnicization of the issue. There was no fanaticization of the issue. If there was anything that was fanatical about the issue, it was the fanatism of ensuring that people were fanatical about democracy, about the urge to be part of the process of governance. So I think that is the thing. That is a key lesson, because some of the ways we organize today, sometimes we organize along sectional lines, sometimes we organize, along some subjective lines, and we must understand that we need to learn that lesson from the way June 12th was organized. Now, the second part of your question, which is about bringing in the trade unions, the student union movement, and so on and so forth. First of all, in these contemporary days, the situation of Nigeria today is not necessarily the same situation 1999, when the struggle for June 12th, became an issue. Then, of course, democracy in Nigeria was still at a very, at its teething stage. Now, I mean, democracy is at least, is supposed to have matured, so to say, in Nigeria, but then it is still wobbling, unfortunately. So, but then the critical is that the situation today is not necessarily the situation then. There was military, in power, and everybody, there was a general consensus that we needed to do away with military and usher in the civilian. So there the situation is that we have civilians in power. We have a so-called democracy. So it becomes now more challenging, to now say that, are we really fighting for democracy? People will tell you, just like the jab we're hearing from the government that says that, look, we were democratically elected. If you don't want the government, then go to the polls. I think the situation now is that we need to emphasize that the situation now is not so much about democracy in terms of, changing leadership as such. It is about social justice. It is about political justice. It is about issues of economic justice. It is about cultural justice. It is about fairness. It is about inclusion. And that is where we need to change that narrative. So when, for instance, IPOB, is fighting for self-determination, and then the Yoruba, Arewa Consultative, or whatever, it is not so much about that. We don't need to follow that narrative. The bottom line is that there is gross injustice in this kind of democracy, or in this civilian government that we are having. And that democracy is the democracy we fought for, as symbolized by June 12th, is not what we are having today. And so for us in mobilizing, and that has affected not only the thinking of Nigerians, but also the groups. You know, trade union as it was prior to June 12th, ideologically, politically, is not what it is today. The students' union movement, the way it was, in fact, I will always say that to the younger ones today, that when I was a student, what we had was student union. Today, what you have is student union government. There is a whole lot of difference. And so the mentality, the psychology that has changed, the values that have changed nationally, globally, has unfortunately permeated our groups and our individual thinking. So today, the concept is not about fighting for justice, economic justice. The poverty in Enugu is the poverty you find in Borno, is the poverty you find in Ekiti, is the poverty you find in Bayelsa, because a truck pusher in Borno, in Bayelsa, in Enugu, in Ekiti is a truck pusher. He's pushing, then earning daily livings for 15. A vulcanizer in any part of the country is a vulcanizer. Poverty is poverty. And it is everywhere. It cuts across every sector of the geography of this country. These are some of the issues, these are some of the narratives that we need to bring to the fore. And on the other hand, wealth, oppression is everywhere. You find poverty in the midst of wealth in every part of this country. And the wealth, unfortunately, is not wealth that has been acquired largely honestly. Most of it, 90 to 95% of it, is obscene wealth that has been acquired illegally through oppression, through creation of poverty. We create wealth everywhere. And these are some of those, these are the issues. And so, and this corruption, this meanness, you know, this struggle for survival that has been worsened, that has been made fierce. Now the struggle for survival is fierce and it takes different shapes. This struggle for survival has sort of eaten into our psyche and has changed our values, affected our values as a nation, as different groups, as individuals, as men and as women. So we are no longer seeing injustice as injustice based on oppressor and oppressed and the oppressed. We are now seeing injustice on the basis of tribe. I have not gotten this job because I am a woman, so this is gender. I didn't get this job, or my child is unable to get to this school, this admission, because this child is from Imo State, and the other one that got it is from Kaduna State. So we now wear the eyeglasses of ethnicism, of religiosity to explain our oppression, to explain our poverty, to explain injustice. And so the difference is that for us to be able to work with all these groups, let me try to quickly summarize, all these groups that made June 12th possible are unfortunately today fighting themselves, within themselves, and around themselves. We need to be able to bring back the political value that was there before June 12th. To do this, we need to have a common understanding of the problem of this country. We need to change the narrative. The leadership, the ruling class, the narrative that they are selling, and unfortunately we are buying into, we need to struggle hard to re-educate people politically. We need to give people a new political orientation, a new political conscientization, which is now weakening, which has weakened in our various groups, in the women's group, in the trade union, in the students' union groups. And these are the individuals from whom we are expecting, organizing, and mobilizing towards a new Nigeria. If their thinking is warped, if their values are not in the positive direction, then of course we will not get it right. Rather, we are opening more, we are strengthening, you know, the past, the class, you know, the oppression, the strength. We are strengthening the oppressors rather than strengthening ourselves to fight the oppressors. Let me stop here. Thank you very much, Nari.
Thank you very much, comrade. You made, of course, so many wonderful and passionate points. I could listen to you all day. You know, I just love the passion and the insight that you bring, and the very important points about cultural justice, fairness, and the need to really change the narrative. Such a strong point to change the narrative, to move away from the distractions that are eating us up in so many ways in terms of ethnicity and religion, and really moving forward and past that. Thank you so much for sharing that. I see, I think our comrade Tope Fashua is in the house. I'm just trying to pull up the his bio right now. So Tope Fashua is here with us. He is an economist and a candidate at the last presidential election in 2019. And oh, did you just disappear? Are you here? Can you raise your hand, please? And please, audience members, please do not raise your hand. We have not yet come time for questions. And when you raise your hand, it does not allow us to see the speakers who we're trying to identify. Okay, I see him here. So welcome very much to this forum. And we would like to ask you to, talk more about some of the concrete strategies of how do we move forward as a political party candidate and someone that has been involved in politics. What is the bridge between politics and activism, and how can we fight for democracy in a climate that is definitely not democratic? Is there any possibility of even having a democratic election in 2023? We would love your insight, and 7 minutes, please. I will give you a 1 minute's notice in the chat. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I'm asking you to unmute.
Right. Okay. I think I got it right this time. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So very quickly, thank you. I think I have a bit more insight into Nigeria as a result of contesting in 2019. However feeble that may be, but at least we tried. So basically, of course, if you define democracy as the people, because it's actually government of, if you like, the government of the big boys and the pen robbers, for the pen robbers, by the pen robbers, and so on. So it's an aberration that we have here. It's not quite a democracy. But my take would be that we should keep trying. Now, unfortunately, we've been actually distracted, like you said, because these days people are talking more in terms of how do we break the country into pieces and so on, which I don't quite subscribe to, because for some reason I tend to see that it's possible to fix this country. And aside from that, I look at the downside that perhaps if we start to do this idea of splitting the country, number one, Africa does not need smaller countries. We need bigger countries in Africa. As a matter of fact, if it could be just one Africa, it wouldn't be a bad idea. And I don't want us to give up, especially the younger people. Should never give up on running this country. You should actually try your hands on running this country before someone gives, let's split everything, let's cut everything. Just keep on spiraling into more breakup. That's going on now is a distraction from the real issues that we should be talking about. I happen to run under ANRP, and that party, along with 73 others, were deregistered sometime in 2020, February, because INEC actually decided to misread the Constitution. And of course, the same impunity, the whole idea of they told us, well, if you don't feel good about it, go to court. We're in appeal courts now, but it's the same impunity that's been running the system for too long. The fact that those in government believe they can get away with anything. What they've done anyway is actually the Buhari government shot itself in the leg, okay? by deregistering those parties, because by now, a lot of the young men that are actually looking to splitting the country, secessionists and all of that, would have actually been thinking about running again on the platform of any of those parties as they did before. And you know, the thing is this, we didn't expect that we would win elections the first time around, but we knew that it was important to keep trying. But they are not magnanimous. I say, unfortunately, we have leaders without any bone of magnanimity in their body. They were afraid that perhaps if these boys keep trying, one day they will take them out. And who knows, we were there to keep trying. In the event that we're going to get a councillorship, a councillor seat somewhere, or a local government seat somewhere, on a House of Assembly somewhere, we keep moving. Because again, the guys that are there now, Nigeria talks about this two-party system, but this two-party system are two rogue parties with their hands in the till, taking money from state government, from federal government to support themselves. Two parties that have been fed by the federal government as far back as 1999, when they were giving so much money to each party to run their affairs. We went in when we had to pay government. We paid government and never received a dime from government for running our parties. And I believe that we're better off if the government was wise. Of course, unfortunately, they're not wise. It would have been better for people to be, for them to allow the young people of this country to continue engaging politically, because that's what gives a sense of ownership of the country to these young folk, rather than now what we've seen is a scenario where everybody has gone back as drum. So we should look away from and of course there's so many, in fact, if we must talk about democracy, the ethnicity does not feature in democracy. Okay, whereas of course, if people believe that they wanted to go on their own country on the basis of ethnicity, fine. But there's always a new minority that's going to be created from ethnicity, the ethnicity politics that we're playing. I'm from Ondo State. Yesterday, I got a news item where the Ijaw people of Ondo State said, listen, they are not part of Oduduwa because, I mean, they are Ijaws, right? So they are there in the waters and so on, but they're part of Ondo State. Why? They're asking why the government of Ondo State must impose a Yoruba anthem on their children in school. That tells you that these issues are very, very nuanced. In Lagos State, the Badagry people are not Yorubas, they are Egun people. They don't speak Yoruba and so on. And this is the same all around the country. However, I think that what's going on in Nigeria now, a lot of the shakeups and the complaints and the struggles and the fights and so on, this is like Nigeria going through the threshing floor with a view to something better coming out at the end of the day. I believe that something else is going to come out. However, in closing, I want to say to Nigerian young people, I'm not that young anymore, I'm almost 50, but the young people, listen, man, your life is, this is your life ahead of you. I believe that people from all over Nigeria in this gathering, from the east, the west, the south, the north, from everywhere, Christian, Muslim, those who don't practice any of those and all of that, listen, I'm about humanity. And for you see that often, many times I even get all the flacks on social media and so on. I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to back down from supporting humanity and letting you guys know that, hey, this country, all I can see is prospects. All I can see is opportunities, not only for you to make money, especially for you to make a difference. And don't let anybody confuse you or convince you that this country is totally bad and totally irrecoverable. I tell you what, even some of the countries that we look up to, that you think that, oh, plan B, I want to get out of this country, you get there and you will see some serious problems that you would wonder what you are doing in those places. I mean, is it America you want to talk about? They have their gun crime, they still, race issues till tomorrow. This is the country where you're number one. And look, where would I have contested for elections as the president? I knew I was constitutionally qualified. We set up a party and I ran. Okay, and I believe that all of you should just stay positive. Forget about the negativity. Listen, man, it's going to drag you down. All that negativity, Nigeria is bad. You wake up every morning, you curse your country, you go after the other guy that's from the other religion or from the other tribe, will bring you down spiritually, and you don't need that. I mean, listen, from Martin Luther King to Malcolm X to all the great men, Marcus Garvey, you know, all those people, you know, W.B. Du Bois, you know, all of those people talked about positivism. They talked about positivism, stay positive. You have to stay straight, man. You know, and I think that's what we should take away from here. This country is full of opportunities. For one reason, whether you believe in creation or evolution, whatever it is you believe in, we are here in this space, and life is short. And life is short. The little time you have on your hands, be creating something, be building something, never be tearing down something. And I say that all of this issue, look, we have a problem with Buhari right now. Okay, the man seems to be bringing out the beast in everybody, just like Fela sang a long time ago, bringing out the beast in everybody. But hey, you know, at the end of the day, for me, it's going to go at some point. Okay, we can give him a lot of stress, but keep the vision going. All right, you cannot, it does not equate to Nigeria. It's not going to be the end of this country. We can even change the name of the country. I even like the idea that someone brought the other day, United Africans or whatever. I said, look, if I'm a United African, we can have South Africa. So that name Africa, you know, why not? If not, because this if we believe that this franchise called Nigeria is damaged, we can take someone else. You know, if Nigeria was a company by now, the consultants be telling you, change your name, rebrand, do something. You guys have to do the work. If we agree that these old men are tired and wasted, you guys have to do the work. Seriously speaking, I don't care what anybody thinks about me or whatever you think. I'm gonna die being positive. That's the point. I'm gonna die being positive. Yeah, close my eyes, only me in this world, and I check out of fear, I will continue to be positive. And I say that this country is perhaps one of the best places. Listen, I'm sitting outside in my balcony. The weather is great. There's no winter here. It's all summer all year. Do you know what some people will do to have this land?
Hello? Yes, you're breaking up, sir. And your time is also up. Thank you so much for your comments, for your positivity, for bringing in some ideas about a message of hope, a message of enthusiasm, even when all the odds are stacked against us and everything is going, you know, fairly negatively. There's a lot that's going on, but keeping our heads up and, you know, playing our own roles. Please, Comrade Dabira, can you please, I can't find you. Can you please raise your hand? I've been trying to chat to you. I don't know if you can find her, Juwan. Yes. And okay, great. I think I found her. So yes, I'm gonna ask her to unmute. I'm asking you to unmute. So if you can unmute yourself. Comrade, okay, great. I'm going great. Okay, so Comrade Dabira, can you put her on the screen, Juwan? I think you've pinned yourself. I'm just gonna pin her profile. Okay, all right. So Comrade Dabira Oluwa is a freedom activist, an NSARS coordinator, and an entrepreneur. And I'm really happy to have you here. I also wanted to say, I know I call people out on this. The previous speaker spoke about Martin Luther King and other male heroes, but we have so many amazing female heroes that we don't speak about. We have our own Fumilayo Ransom Kuti. We have many American heroes. We have so many female heroes. And we also have our emerging young heroines that are coming into the struggle. So welcome, Dabira. The question I have for you is a little bit long, but I'm going to read it out. What did the NSARS protesters, what can they learn from this history? And what do we do now that the government has shown itself to be very violent? So basically, a lot of people in the chat have been saying, how do we move forward? We have the June 12th protests coming up. We have other protests. Twitter is shut down. They're shooting comrades in the streets. What is the way forward? How can we learn from the tactics and the strategies from the past? And how can we as young people also innovate and create new strategies for ways in which we can engage and push forward our fundamental rights? Welcome, and waiting to happy to hear from you. 7 minutes, please. I'll chat you at 6 minutes. Please try to keep the time. We have a few more speakers and we want some time for discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for here. Thank you for having me here. And I really do appreciate and I greet everyone. And then I want to say from history, June 12th is an historical moment, great loss, and which deserves to be celebrated, and it's a good one that we have to give it a remarkable time of our own, but it's also an opportunity for us to be able to feeling like, yes, struggles have been, we've had activists, they've done wonderfully well, they've won for us in the past, they've done a lot of struggle, and this is how much the struggle has advanced, and now it is in our hands. We are the next in line to take over the baton and then pushing forward. I don't want to go into too much stories. I just want to touch the basics. The first question was, what are the things we learned from the answers? And then how has it, has it been a very positive impact in any way? For me, as well, yeah, I could have died, but probably I'm still battles. That's why I'm still alive. So basically, people say, yeah, people die. A lot of people die. Finally, we discovered, okay, almost 99 people died. So why should we ask people to go out again and die? But that was the only time in my life
We can't hear you. It seems like you're frozen. Maybe you can try to turn off your video, comrade. Maybe that will help us hear you better. You're currently frozen. Comrade Dabira, we cannot hear you. Okay. Unfortunately, we seem to have lost her. Maybe if she'll be able to get back during the question and answer. I think we have two more speakers, and then we're going to go to questions. So please, you can chat your questions. I will also ask you to put yourself, if you want to ask questions, you can put them in the chat, because I cannot see the order in which you raised your hands. Is Comrade Gompwell here still? If you can raise your hand, please. I know that you have been here. I hope you didn't fall out. If you can raise your hand, please. Comrade Gompwell from Adamawa.
Yes, you see a comrade. Can you raise your hand?
Oh, Deborah is back. Deborah, are you able to, I'm thinking maybe you should switch off your video so we can hear you. I'm asking you to unmute. Yeah, okay. If you can. Okay, sure. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah, sure. So, like I was saying, the NSAS movement was a success in a way, but to some people that don't see beyond the impact, I think this government saw a difference mental the heart of the people, especially in the Nigerian youth. And for me to my kudos go to all the heroes that laid down their lives and that stood their ground up until that very point, the dying minutes. Now people say we don't have to go for protests June 12 and all that. People will die. The truth is, people are even dying more on daily basis. At some point, I have to leave social media, because every day people send me videos of people that have been kidnapped, where they were slaughtered, and nobody's making any news about it. The thing is, these people that are being kidnapped and killed by these Fulanis were not even protesting. They were going about their businesses, but they get killed. That is one. You go to the medical sector, for instance. Go to our hospitals all over the place in Nigeria. You will struggle to get a bed. You will be lucky to walk into the hospital with your legs and the corpse not being carried out because of poor facilities. So the system has already killed us. So let's stop being, afraid of, oh, we are going to die. People will die. People's lives are at risk. Our life, in fact, to this government, our life owes no value. The cow out there are of more value to them than us. And until the time we stand up to them and let them know, look, it's not going to be business as usual. Because if you allow this government get away with this, check down the memory lane, another government will come, do worse, and get away because they know that Nigerians, we have endurance skills. We know how to suffer and smile, just like Fela said, suffering and smiling. Now they've deprived us of everything. We don't have access to internet freely. We can't even talk freely. And we say we are in a democratic system. And we still keep quiet like we are moving on. Whether we like it or not, if nothing is being done, if we don't take actions, in the next 6 months, let's be careful so that these guys will not come and start knocking at our doors and bringing us out for slaughter. So are we supporting June 12th? Are we going out for June 12th? For me, yes, we are going out. It's an opportunity for us to hear our opinion, speak our mind. But my point is, what are the strategies we have put in place? How are we going to ensure that we don't have casualties, if possible? Now, who are the people that can actually give support in any field, in any area? We need support. We need to have, life vests, like, and co. We need people that have dogs to come with their dogs. Because this time around, we're going to stand, because we know they're going to impose curfew somehow. If they don't impose curfew, they're going to mount, like February 13th, they will mount armies there to come and arrest us. But you see those few people that came out on February 13th, about 40 of them, including myself, I respect them. And I know that this government respects those. Because until you stand up to your Goliath, it will keep oppressing you. We are too religious and too spiritual here. We pray and ask God to do everything literally for us. It doesn't work that way. There should be a point where we get instruction like, go and confront your enemy. Like, people want division. People want the Yoruba nation. I'm Yoruba. It's okay. It's their opinion. But look, are we going to be doing it by carrying flags and campaigning up and down? Like, why would just you can have your will. You can't get division without disagreements. You say you don't want to spill blood, we just want division. It doesn't happen easily. Let's go and read. Let's go and learn from other countries. So come, if we can come together, everybody, whether you want to be Biafra, whether you want to be, Yoruba nation, whether you want a one Nigeria, we should all come together first and fight and clear off these monsters. Then we can, after we have been able to clear the hair, we can now sit down and say, okay, the best thing is for everybody to go their separate ways. But how do you want to go your separate? Who is going to give you, who is going to do those partitioning? It's like people are just joking. When I watch what people do, like want a Biafra, want this, want that, you can't get, like, you think people don't love power, but until we come together like one full force and agree on one thing, that look, we do not want the way the system is running anymore. You these recycled people, just step down.
You can round up, please.
Okay, I know my time is up. Yeah, sure. So basically, what I think we should do is we need to come together as one, give as much support as we can give to one another. If you can't come out to protest, stay home and be online and ensure to trend and that are out there. But first of all, we need to come together. I know there are strategies in place of how June 12 will play out. There are other loopholes we are looking at. Okay, if this happens, what are the plan Bs? We are talking behind closed doors. And I know that measures will be put in place to ensure that we don't have casualties. I don't want people dying. But if I have to die on the path of justice for the voiceless, I am willing to lay down my life. I'm already dead like since 2002. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Comrade Dabira. Your courage and your insights and your courage and your willingness to just be in this struggle is truly inspirational. And you know, we continue to pray for your protection and for the protection of all those who are, you know, taking this struggle to the next level. And we are there, and we will do everything that we can to make sure that everyone is kept safe. I think in all of our capacities, we must try to do the most that we can, humanly possible. Please, want to have one more speaker before we bring in our final speaker. I keep losing you. Comrade Tony, can you please raise your hand again? You had raised your hand before. Can you please raise your hand? Sorry, there's a lot of people in the room. It's hard to keep track. Comrade Tony Sudan Gompwell, please, can you raise your hand? Comrade Tony. Ah, there you are. Okay. I'm asking you to unmute. Can you please unmute? Okay. Asking you to unmute. Can you please unmute?
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
Okay, great. So we're kind of getting into the meat of the struggle, learning from the past, but moving forward to the future. So with the current, Comrade Tony is the AA chairperson for Adamawa. And the question I have for you is, you know, learning from all the speakers that we've had today, with the current crackdown on protesters in physical spaces, what can activists do to keep themselves safe? And what if their safety is compromised? And with the current crackdown on social media, the Twitter ban, how can activists fight back against the government who is trying to suppress their voices?
Well, thank you very much, Nare. Sorry, I joined the meeting very late. And right here, you can see me in my car because since yesterday night, we haven't had light in Yola, Adamawa State, and in my phone.
We're having problems hearing you. Maybe you can take off your video. Sometimes it helps to have better sound because you're currently frozen.
Participate in this meeting. It's quite unfortunate, very, very sad that we have 21st century Nigerian youths, politicians we have in Nigeria are vicious, although we know you are deadly, we don't have heart for humanity, but we are also up to task. And that is why we must stand our ground to salvage our nation, to salvage our society, to salvage our image that has been shattered by these leaders who are blind and deaf, who don't have insight, who don't have a common idea of how to transform this nation. And we must stand upright. Frantz Fanon said, every generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission. It either betrays it or fulfills it. Omoyele Sowore and some other people across Nigeria have really helped to fine-tune the direction for which great Nigerian youths must follow if we will have a better nation. The going hasn't been so easy, you know, from onset. The NSAS protest, what happened on the 20th of October,
Hello, Comrade, I'm very sorry to interrupt you. I'm going to come back to you. Okay. I really apologize. We have one of our elders here who would like to speak. He has to get back off the phone. He has another meeting, so I apologize sincerely. I will come back to you. Our comrade, Barrister Femi Falana, if you can raise your hand, please, sir, so that I can see you and unmute you. Please, comrades, if you can lower your hands. Okay, I see you. Okay, welcome, sir. I'm unmuting you. If you can see the unmutes. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it would be unfair not to allow the speaker to conclude his speech. I'll come in after. I'm not too much in a hurry, not to be able to, allow him to conclude his contribution.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Go ahead, Comrade Compwell.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So the last statement I made was that it was very, very unfortunate what happened on the 20th of October, 2020, in the NSAS protest. So many of us were not in Lagos. I was in Yola, Adamawa State. I did the mobilization and we took to the street. We told people nobody is going to stop us. This is our lives. Whether we come out or we don't, they are killing us. Whether you are in your home or you're on the street, they are killing you. So what's the essence of dying a coward, And then we went on, we mobilized people, our youth shows activism, everybody came out, we were on the street, to place demand on democracy. But it's quite very unfortunate the kind of leaders that we have in this nation, that peaceful protesters with Nigerian flags, with placards, and then all Nigerian leaders could do is to send military to come and dispatch the crowd, not only dispatching them, but killing great Nigerian youth that are showing sense of patriotism. That is quite very unfortunate. That was the day the fundamental human right in this nation was assassinated. And so many assassinations are going on, but as great Nigerian youth, we won't allow that to continue. While you talk about the June 12th protests, I think that is what I really want to hear most our speakers talked about, because the June 12th is an agenda that is before us. How do we carry out this June 12th? How do we come out? How do we convince people to take to the street with the kind of challenges that we have in this nation? Our leaders are telling us that they don't have heart for us. They don't have heart. They don't care about our civic right and our civic responsibility. The policemen are there. Each time we come out for protest, the first question they ask us is if we have written to the authorities. I dare to tell one of the commissioner of police that we did not write you and we will not write you, because the last time we wrote, instead of you to come and protect us and ensure that we carried out our civic responsibility, you send your men to come and disrupt us to stop the protest from taking place. Do you know what you have done? This is an encroachment on our civic right. So who will speak for the Nigerian youth? Who will stand for us whenever we come out to actively, participate in politics? We tell our leaders, to convince our leaders that protests and demonstrations, they are integral part of democracy. If democracy must work, if democracy must flare in Nigeria, then people should be given the right to know that this is our civic responsibility. And whenever we come out to take on the street to protest, they should be there to protect us, because we are not just fighting our selfish interests, but the agenda, the future of this nation is in the front line of the heart. Okay, so what I will...
Comrade, you're frozen. We will come back to you for questions. You're currently frozen, so I'm going to just thank you for your amazing comments and for your courage. And I'm going to bring on our comrade, as well as our father in the struggle, Barrister Femi Falana. And so happy to have you here today. I'm asking you to unmute. If you can unmute.
Okay, yes.
Okay. And I'm going to pin you here. But sir, just to welcome, and we're so happy to have you here today. I think I would just love for you to speak to, I know you've listened to a few of the of the speakers while you've been here. But I guess I would just love to hear from you. You know, you have been in this struggle really for your entire life. You know, you've been in and out of prison, you've been in and out of the courts, you've been on the streets, you've been everywhere. And we're just so happy to have, you know, your insight and your wisdom here today. But just maybe speak to us briefly before you leave. What was the vision? What was the dream of June 12th? And how can we continue to have that dream today? That would be the first question. And then the second question is, you know, you're seeing all of this unravel, kind of history going in a cycle and repeating itself. What can we learn from the struggle, and how can we actually break that cycle of protests, you know, the government repression, more protests, more jails, more killings, and just a continuous cycle? How can this be the generation to kind of break through and really see the realization, the dream of June 12th, which you and many of your comrades who have now gone to join the ancestors envision for the country? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes,
can you hear me? Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. In 1990, the Ibrahim Babangida junta decided it was not going to leave power. The guy, Babangida, actually wanted to metamorphose from a military dictator to a civilian president. And we decided to confront him, not the year 1990. Now, the government was not going to allow a transition program to allow genuine democracy. So we decided to confront the monster. And I think by 1992, we had convinced Nigerians that this guy was going nowhere. So we printed posters and pasted them all over the country. Babangida must go, a military dictator. So about 5 of us were captured. I said captured, not just a question of arrest. We were abducted in the dead of the night, taken to Abuja. We landed in Kuje prison. And the day we thought we were going to be released, we were taken to Gwagwalada Chief Magistrate Court and charged with treasonable felony. The late Chief Gani Fawehinmi and I decided to defend ourselves and our colleagues. And we made it clear to the court, those who should be standing trial for treason, Babangida, Buhari, Abacha, all of them, in the court. Some of them are in the villa. While we are here, charged with demanding for our country, for the faith, for the soul of our country. And when the judge asked me, Mr. Fallon, please, what is your submission? I said, my submission, my lord, is I'm charged with treasonable felony with my colleagues. Treasonable felony means to form an intention to remove the president of your country during his term of office, otherwise by constitutional means. I said, number one, Babangida has no fixed term of office. It cannot be removed .
You're frozen, sir.
Constitutionally. Clear.
Let's see. Juan, are you able to see what's going on? It seems as if he's frozen.
I think it's actually muted. So we may need to ask him to unmute.
Okay. I'm going to ask.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can see you, sir. Thank you.
On May 31st this year. Oh, I think this show, right? On May 31st this year, we had 2 generations of protesters on the street of Lagos. Again, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
I'm saying on the 31st of May, we had 2 generations of protesters on the street of Lagos. My son that was born in 1990 and myself. Now, the point I'm making therefore is that the struggle for justice and fair play in our country knows no age. There are progressive forces among the old. You must look out for them so that we can have a mix of progressive young people and progressive, elderly people. There are octogenarians like Professor Soyinka and others. There are septuagenarians who are also involved in the struggle for change in our country. Now, in June 1993, when some of you were not born yet, or when you were toddlers, an election took place in our country, and the military said, we are not going to go. We are not going to recognize the result of the election. We mobilized Nigerians under a military dictatorship, a benign, murderous military dictatorship. And between July 5 and 7, in Lagos alone, we had over 1 million people on the street. Now, on the 7th of July, the late Chief Gani Fahimi, the late Bekon and Sam Kuti and myself were arrested. The military dictators foolishly thought that once we were taken away, the protests would stop. And so we were kept in Kuje prison again. But to our utter surprise, and to the consternation of the dictators, you had more people on the street. And when about 200 people were killed on the street of Lagos alone, our people decided, and Omoyele Sowore was one of them, the young people, Bamidele Aturu, okay, Odumakin, Joe, okay, who later married Oduma, many of the young people, decided to ask Nigerians to stay at home so that they won't be killing you on the street. And that happened. But Nigerians insisted that the military had to go, and Babangida was crying the day he left power. Now, the point I'm making, therefore, a people united, a people mobilized can never be defeated. If we are ready to take back our country from the foul hands of political buccaneers and economic saboteurs, the victory is certain, victory is around the corner. On your protest, on our protest, you gained a lot last year. Oh, a lot was gained as a result of the October protest. Nigerians had already given up because by September, we had wanted a strike by workers. Labour Congress, which was going to paralyze the economy. But on the eve of that protest, Labour leaders betray Nigeria. So when young people came out for the first time in the history of Nigeria, the most organized protest ever organized, and the most serious, more coordinated protest, a protest that could not be disbanded on primordial consideration like ethnicity and religion. And what happened at the end of the day? The military, please note this, and this is very fundamental. Hoodlums did not take over the protest. Government took over the protest through hoodlums. And if you must know who hoodlums are, they are thugs during election, during protest, during riots, they are hoodlums. In peacetime, they are area boys. All these lumpen elements are created by the backward reactionary bourgeoisie in Nigeria. And so please don't be deceived. When they couldn't use thugs in Lagos and Abuja, Port Harcourt, Benin, and other places to silence the youths, the government decided to use the military and the police. And let me tell you, in Lagos, in 1 week, 99 people were killed, if you must know. By yesterday, the government pathologists came to give evidence at the tribunal and did say that 99 people were killed. I think this is reported by Sarah reporters today. And that 3 of them were brought, 3 of the corpses were brought from Lekki. I'm sure all of you have been told that nobody died in Lekki. But the lawyers told the young people then asked, Adeyi Kalumi de Fusika, Mr. Doctor, how are you sure the others were not brought from Lekki? Why did you come to the conclusion that only 3 were brought from Lekki? He said, well, I'm not aware. This is what I was told, but at least 3 dead bodies were brought from Lekki. And the court said no, or the tribunal said, you must go and bring your records so that we can know and confirm the veracity of your claim. Assuming without conceding that only 3 people were killed on that day, this exposes the government to ridicule. A government that had claimed nobody died. Oh, if anybody died, how come their family members have not show up? What has happened in this case? Out of the 99 dead bodies, less than 20 family members have shown up in the mortuaries, in the hospital, because of the fear that if we show up, we may be arrested, and that is why most people have left the dead bodies for the government. The point, and it's not only Lagos. I can tell you, we have about 50 people were killed in Edo State. About 60 people were killed in Port Harcourt. 4 were killed in Ogbomoso. We are going to have our own report so that that part of our history will not be suppressed by the Nigerian ruling class. Let me now go to your protest, planned protest. As far as the law is concerned, and we must never hesitate to continue to refer to the law. Based on your protest last year, the government has now agreed that there is a section of the law, Section 83, subsection 4 of the Police Act 2020, that requires the police to provide security during protest. And that was what we did on the 31st of May. I was given the duty to call the Commissioner of Police in Lagos. We are going out tomorrow, and I'm going to be part of the protest. What is the problem tomorrow? So, no, you can't have a protest. And I say, look at your Section 83. What it says is that you must give us protection so that the so-called hoodlums will not hijack our protest. I can assure you that is what we are going to do for the June 12 protest at the level of Abuja. And let me tell you why I have a moral right over these guys in power. In 2003, Buhari and others had a rally in Kano, and the rally was violently suppressed by the Obasanjo administration. In fact, Buhari's vice presidential candidate then, the late Dr. Chuba Okadigbo, was given the Shore treatment, whereby tear gas canisters were shot at close range because he was suffering from asthma. He inhaled a lot of the gas and he got asphyxiated, and that was how he died. And so Buhari and others came to me, please, can you go to court for us? I challenge this requirement that we must get police permit before we can protest in our country. And I went to court for them, pro bono publico, because they couldn't afford my services. We won the case at the Federal Court in 2006. The police appealed. We won the appeal in the Court of Appeal. And this is what has culminated in the amendment of the law in the country now to say, thou shalt protect protesters. And we are going to begin tomorrow, with effect from tomorrow, to let the world know Nigerians want to protest peacefully. The government must not allow the so-called hoodlums and miscreants to infiltrate the protest. It's going to be peaceful. And this time around, this is our country. The government must not treat us like slaves. On the Twitter ban, again, I can let you know, we have made a statement today. I think Serap has made a statement today to the effect that if anybody is arrested, based on the threat of the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, SAN, if anybody is arrested and charged, we are going to provide free legal services anywhere in the country, because we believe that Nigerians have unquestionable fundamental right to freedom of expression, including access to information. And let me also assure you, and you can quote me, there is no law in Nigeria, there is no law in Nigeria that has criminalized a disregard or disobedience of a government purported suspension of Twitter. No law. And when the media asked me yesterday, what is your reaction? I said, no, you are asking the wrong person and you're asking the wrong question. Go back to the Attorney General. Under what section of the Criminal Code are you going to charge those who merely disagree, who treat your illegal ban with contempt? And the Attorney General, because there's no law. He said, when we get to the court, you will know the law. And I say here, there is no such law. And that is why we are confident that no Nigerian will be successfully prosecuted under that law. Let me now just urge you to believe in yourselves and not to be captured by the diversionary play of the government. I've read some of the questions in the chat. So let the three ethnic groups in Nigeria go their separate way. By the way, and I'm sure the person asking that question belongs to one of the three ethnic groups. There are ethnic groups in Nigeria, over 250. There are some whose language is spoken by less than 200,000 people. We must also recognize them. So when you want to balkanize Nigeria or Pakistanize Nigeria, you must think of all the ethnic groups and micro-ethnic groups in the country. And you will come to the irresistible conclusion, and based on the experience of other African countries, that at the end of the day, it may be better for us to organize and remove the most reactionary, the most backward ruling class to govern any country in Africa. And that is those who are in charge of Nigeria. And from what you saw in the NSAS protest, these guys are not on ground. They were already shaking. They were already going to run away, and that was why they had to bring in the military. Next time around, we can get more organized. We need to infiltrate, the armed forces, the police, and let them appreciate that your protest, your struggle is to liberate our country from a land of poverty to a land of prosperity. Because Nigeria should be one of the richest countries in the world in terms of human and natural resources. But here we are. Our country is run aground by very shameful looters, set of looters, whose own agenda, whose sole agenda is to loot the country to such a responsible level that you now have 100 million poverty-stricken people, that our country has become the capital of, global poverty. We must reject such very shameful tag of a country that should be one of the leading countries in the world. Let me therefore challenge you. Let me challenge you to appreciate that the future belongs to you. And you must be interested in what goes on at present. Because you can't have a successful future if you do not fight for your right now. For my generation, we've lived the best lives in our country. When I was an undergraduate, going to England, return ticket was 200 naira. Many of us went to travel during holidays, and to buy a car was less than 5,000 naira. In this same country, what happened? Some of the people in power now are my contemporaries who went to school together. We didn't pay anything. On the contrary, the government paid us. They gave us bursary, they gave us loans that were never paid back. So what has happened? A few people have cornered the Commonwealth, the resources of our country. And therefore, what should we do? It is to fight for the equitable redistribution of the wealth of our country. We must fight those who are, even now, under Buhari, cornering the wealth of our country, giving themselves all blocks that turn you into instant billionaires to the detriment of majority of our people in the north and the west. And people, the northerners are in power, the Fulani are in power. No, the masses are not in power. If you are talking of Nigeria today, the greatest number of poverty-stricken people are in the northern part of Nigeria, in the northwest and the northeast. And therefore, I would like to urge you to believe in yourselves, to believe that a new Nigeria is possible, to believe that if we can attack poverty, if we can attack lopsided appointments, if we can attack insecurity of life and property of everybody in our country, Nigeria will regain its lost glory. And all of us will be happy. There will be happiness in our country, and there will be prosperity in our country. I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you
coming
and giving us your time. We really appreciate you. Thank you. So that is the end of our speakers. You've heard from our final speaker, who is not just speaking from the position of an elder, but somebody who was in the struggle, in the prison, in the jails, and is still around in the struggle many, many decades later. Unfortunately, I see a lot of raised hands, but this is a webinar format, and I've been asking people to chat in the chat. I've seen a lot of questions. Most of them are looking at, please, Juwan, if you can keep everyone muted. Most of the questions in the chat are looking at, what happens, what are the strategies, what are the ways forward, what happens if the telecommunications companies shut things down, what happens if there's no internet and we can't live stream, what happens if there's infiltration of protest. And so I would really just like to, I know that Comrade Juwan will give us some information, and I think Comrade Babaye also has an announcement at the end of the program. There will be organizing meetings this week where we can speak specifically, where everyone can speak and have a conversation. And a lot of those conversations will have to take place. A lot of private confidential discussions will also have to take place. But I just want to give room for the speakers who came here today to offer their own insights, to give us a 1 minute roundup in response to the questions. I hope all the speakers have been following the chat. And just to make sure that we have time at the end for some announcements from the organizers, which is the Take It Back movement. We want to respect everyone's time and close this at exactly 7 p.m. Nigerian time. So if each of the comrades, I'm going to call on you, if you can just prepare to speak to any last comments, 1 minute, if you can speak to any question that you see in the chat and give any final words. And if you can please stick to 1 minute each, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to start with Comrade Hawa Mustafa. 1 minute, please. I'm asking you to unmute.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to quickly help to clear one misconception that I think just a few people have read some of the chats are having, and I've heard read some arguments to and fro. It has to be clearly known that the struggle of the youth, the struggle of Nigerians, the struggle of anybody who is protesting either on the basis of we want our own country, we want Biafra, we want Oduduwa Republic or whatever. The fight is not against Buhari as an individual, as a person. It is that Buhari symbolizes, unfortunately, a class of dictators, a class of oppressors, a class of leadership that is not focused, that is not giving Nigerians, the majority of Nigerians, justice, economic justice. There is no reason for the kind of poverty we have in Nigeria in the midst of so much wealth. And so let it be known, whether Buhari is there, we fought against Jonathan, not because he's from Bayelsa, but because his administration was not doing the right thing. We are fighting Buhari, not because he's not from my village, don't care. It is because I am not getting the dividends of democracy. The youth is not getting the dividends of democracy. It is an exclusive government. Inclusive, the only thing that is included, the only people that are included in this government are just their agents and immediate family members. And we are saying this is not democracy. So please, people should get it right. It is not about toppling Buhari. It is about toppling a system. We need a system change. We need to reorganize this country. We need to take it back. This Nigeria belongs to everybody, anywhere, at any time, both the youth and the old, the Hausa, the Fulani, the Nupe, the Ijons, the Yorubas, the Efiks, and everybody. So we need to get it right. People who are saying that, no, you are fighting Buhari. No, we are not fighting Buhari as a person. If tomorrow, Comrade Femi Falana becomes the president of Nigeria and he is not serving us well, we will organize and protest against his government. So get it clear, that is what it is. If tomorrow Baba Aye becomes the president of Nigeria or Sowore becomes the president of Nigeria and they are not serving us right, there's an injustice, economic, political, and everything. We are not being carried along. We will organize and fight against them. So get it right. It is not about a person. It is about a system. And anybody who is at the head of that system, of course, carries the burden because this person is expected to lead and lead right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, comrade. That we are fighting to topple a system and we are holding everyone accountable. So I really love your comments and your contribution. It's not about a single individual, it is about a system, and the system is all political parties, all kinds of people, so many people are involved. And so we need to hold everyone accountable. Thank you so much for bringing that very important message back at the end. Comrade Chidi, Comrade Dr. Chidi. Your remarks, please, 1 minute.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm not very good at being diplomatically correct. There is somebody. Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I am not very good at being diplomatically correct. As far as the government of Nigeria is concerned, there is somebody at the helm of affairs. He came to us and he said, allow me to rule. And we are like, Oga, if you like say you no go fit do am or there's so much problem in Nigeria. I said, my head is strong. I have been a military general. I have been even a president in the form of a military ruler before. I know these things. And so we carried the country and we gave it to him. And now his activities are causing us to be killed. With due respect to my sister, I want him to be toppled. I want him out of the way because he is the head of the. If you cut off the head, then the body will be lifeless. Even though he is lifeless right now, but in a way, yes, he represents that government, but he has to be gone like yesterday. The sooner we pack him and his government out of the way, the more likelihood we have to still remain alive to be doing other things. So as far as I'm concerned, we need to come out en masse on June 12th. And this is not about, people keep asking me, Chidi, you're one Nigeria, you forget Biafra. No. Bring all your agitation. Remember, June 12th is about democracy. And in a democracy, everybody has a voice. It is not my right to tell you that your agitation will not work or that it will not go well. No, what right do I have? In a democracy, bring your agitation, bring everything to the board as long as it is constitutionally allowed and provided for, then bring it on. So June 12th is an open invitation to everybody who exists inside that geographical location called Nigeria. Come with your grievances and let us do this together. When we do it together, the impact is more. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Dr. Chidi. So the debate is still firing here in the room as also in the chat. And this is what we're here for, to ask hard questions, to debate, to, really like challenge each other on what we think. So it's very important. There's all the voices here are so important. So coming over to you, Comrade Dabira, if you want to give us your last insights, maybe answer some of the questions that are emerging in the chat, and 1 minute, please.
Okay.
Okay.
It's been a very, very good discussion so far. It's been progressive.
We can't hear you. Come again, please. Comrade Dabira. Okay. Comrade Juan, who I see some of the speakers have left. Is there anyone else you have? I've asked the speakers to please raise your hand.
I think there's but if there is so there's Sudan, I don't know if it's still here, but if there are no, if most of the speakers are left, I think we can just take a few minutes of and but before that we take a comment from the convener of the feedback movement and the co-convener from the coalition for election, maybe short comments, and then we have we can then get to round up.
Okay, I didn't hear you said the convener of Take It Back and the convener of the Coalition for Revolution.
Yes.
Okay.
Like in 2 minutes each from both.
If you can find them and unmute them, please.
Okay, at this let me ask the commercial unmute. He can unmute himself.
Okay.
I don't know if it's there. Okay, we can't.
Okay.
Yeah, can I hear? Can you?
Okay.
All right.
We can hear you. Yes.
Guys, thank you so much. We're just coming from a Twitter space meeting that had over 1,400 people, and I discussed how we move forward. And I don't think I have anything else to say that is new. What our father in the struggle, Kwame Fowler, has said represents my total opinion. And that is the fact that when you find yourself in situations like you don't cower, because you are dealing with people who are dictators. You are dealing with bullies. In fact, this last week, the spokesperson to the president described the president as a kind bully. Kind, that's the word he used to describe the president, that Nigerians needs to be bullied for them to respect the president of the nation. It's the most, creative way to describe where we are now. And as we're speaking, we are faced with a Twitter shutdown, which most people did not expect, but we had warned that this would happen. Now they've also moved beyond that, so that they will prosecute anybody who is using Twitter. And I imagine this will include Pastor Adeboye as well, who is in Twitter, including the Independent National Electoral Commission, who is in Twitter, the NCDC, the disease control body that is tweeting, the APC support group. But that's not what they are saying. They are trying to send panic and fear in the hearts of us. And I also want to respond to some people who are asking, particular questions about how people to protest, you need to wear bulletproof vests and all those things. Those things are not necessary here, and it probably wouldn't be necessary. What would be necessary is to put the mass of our people on the street under military rule. We've been part of protests that stood, toe-to-toe to the military. I've been part of protests that stood toe-to-toe to the police and all security forces. Spend time with the DSS, the secret police. There's nothing there, ladies and gentlemen. What we should go back and do right now is for everybody who's here. There are 229 of us, but there was a time it was more than that. To go back for every person to mobilize 100% and put them on the street. If we can get 1 million people on the streets of Nigeria on June 12th, next Saturday, the game would change. The army will not be able to shoot anybody. Forget about all their threats. The one they did at Lekki, they are running head past. They are still on the run. Lekki's infraction and the criminal.
We missed your words. Can you come again? Your audio went off.
Yeah. I think 1 minute to land up. Now.
Yeah, I lost you guys for a second, but there's nothing to be afraid of. Let's go back and mobilize, and let's talk to ourselves. And by June 12th, let these people know that we're not joking. So on that note, I yield and thank every one of you for coming. And let's keep the conversation going. We'll be back on Twitter Spaces tomorrow. And I think Juwon, Dr. Chidi, and the others have a channel that they reach you every evening. You can ask any questions from us. You know how to reach me on Twitter, on Facebook. And so many of you also have my private phone numbers. But it's important to keep thanking Barrister Femi Falana, who continues to make himself available whenever we trouble him to give us this spiritual leadership and advice. And I use the word spiritual advisedly, because he and I go to the same church. That is the church of the Second Coming of Revelation. So, there's nothing, so we belong to that church, not the physical church. So I really thank him a lot, because he gave him last minute notice and he came to us. These guys, let's continue to appreciate him and wish that he continues to be with us, because we need more of him. For those of us who are regular inmates, he's our spiritual father and lawyer. Thank you guys so much for listening, and hope to see you guys soon again at another platform. Please keep mobilizing until we get this result. I yield, Nare. Thank you so much for your moderation. I love it.
Thank you, comrade, and thank you for your leadership and your courage. Always good to be in the room and feel your spirit and your presence. I think we have an announcement and maybe a word from the co-convener of CORE, Comrade Babaye. And then I think, Juwon, please stay to the end. We have some important announcements and we will be closing at the hour. So please just hold on and let's go to the end. So some of the questions about how to get involved, what to do this week, and all of the preparations, we'll be able to put those out to you so that you can make sure that this discussion today turns into action and moves us forward. Comrade Babaye.
Thank you very much, Nanre and all. I'll be quick. The main thing I want to do is an announcement. I mean, this conversation continues, and on Thursday, we'll be having a similar webinar with comrades that were quite involved also in the June 12th struggle, including Senator Shehu Sani, Dr. Abiola Akinode, Maudi, and of course also Showore. I shared it earlier, I will share again. But I would very quickly speak on one or two things. The talking of June 12 is rather nostalgic for me in so many ways. I was spokesperson of the students' movement at the time and also a leader in the campaign for democracy. So just one sentence things. First, the thing that those that rule us, there are two things they always want to do at this point in time. One is to instill fear in us, and the second is loss of memory. Loss of memory about where we are coming from because we draw power from such. And that is why a meeting like this is important. Secondly, talking of protests, things like this, at times we don't know how close we are to when the revolutionary fire will become a conflagration, will become a big fire. July 5 was when the June 12 revolution actually started. As Comrade Falana said, you had over 1 million people on the streets. But as of July 4, I was a coordinator then in Mushi. During a debriefing meeting with Chima and Beko was like, look, with the work we have done, we'll be able to get up to 5,000 people on the street. Some of us were saying, no, we can get up to 10,000. We had over 1 million. And the reason was because from Thursday to that Sunday, we are pasting everywhere, leafleting everywhere, mobilizing. We had never had such crowds in the history of the country on the streets. Thirdly, I've had a lot about Twitter, shutting down Facebook and whatever, but drawing lessons from June 12. Don't forget that that time there were not even mobile phones. There were not even mobile phones. So Twitter is important, social media is important, and we have to use this well. But it is people that fight revolutions. We use the tools available to us. So if we could bring out that much there, it shows that we can, and with the right tactics and strategy, mobilize the mass for such action. Thirdly, is that the struggle comes in ebbs and tides. The struggle is not a one-day thing. Each protest has to be taken into cognizance, but we have to look also at the broader. There are times that would be able to move more forward. There will be times maybe, but we must be consistent and tenacious. Thirdly, is that it is not about legality. It's not about whether they bring coffee or what have you. The bosses always organize either legally or otherwise. And it's also not just about elections. Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt said, you don't win in the boardroom or on the polls what you have not won on the battlefield. And that is why AAC is a revolutionary party. Fourthly or fifthly is that we should not have any illusion in any member of the ruling class. There's no progressive bastard amongst them. And that includes even with Abiola. Shaw can confirm this. When we went on that July 5, despite the fact that Campaign Democracy had told him we are coming, Abiola didn't want to meet with us. Later, we realized the reason why. They said Babansu, he was sleeping. Why? Abiola had gone to have a meeting overnight with IBB. They realized that the things that bind them together are much more than the differences they had. And when on the 15th of November, Shaw also led people to the mass to MKO's house after Dolapo Akinsoye's ruling. He told us that you people as students, go back to study your book. We know how to sort out things amongst ourselves. So we should have no illusion in any member. So June 12 was much more than Abiola. It was much more than Abiola. So I'll just sum up now by saying, join us on Thursday. I would share the flyer once again and the link to register. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Comrade Babaye. I think, Comrade Juwon, you have some announcements before we close
before
up.
Before then, there is Comrade Femi Falana. You may have to give 1 minute.
Yes, closing remarks, please. Sorry about that.
Closing remarks.
I'm trying to, okay, yes, that's
I asked him to unmute. I've just asked him to unmute.
Hello, Comrade.
Oh, I don't think
he is here, but I don't know if he can hear us.
He's here. All right, so maybe he may decide, he may join us when he could. I'm still trying to unmute him. Okay, so
well, let me just say, Comrade Barrister Femi Falana, if you can unmute.
Okay.
If you can unmute, we are asking you to unmute, sir. Okay, go ahead, Juwon, make the announcement, please.
Okay, all right. Well, as we're all aware, we'll be mobilizing towards 12 protests, the meetings and we've heard from our convener. Discussion continue tomorrow at the 12 space, and you can join us this evening. How we do it every evening on YouTube as media, join on Facebook live by 8 p.m. where we also take discussions which pertains to the June 12 organizations. And also I would like to also bring on board the mobilization officer, director of mobilization of the Take It Back movement, Mr. Bola Owoporode, who would also be having to give us some 2-minute discussion, just some 2 minutes update as regarding the state of the mobilizations towards 12. So, Mr. Bola, I've unmuted you to just have some 2 minutes update and then that's to run.
Thank you. Greetings, citizens. It's a very good thing to have such large numbers of Nigerians who are ready to gather together to bring down and make Buhari go. We're in the later stages of organizing. There are a number of places where we can donate towards the mobilization, because as with all political struggle, it comes at a cost, both financial and your engagement. We do have a Take It Back Movement UBA account, which I believe Citizen Juwan will put on the chat. We have a PayPal, we have a Zelle. If you can make
it's on the chat. It's on the chat already. People are putting it on the chat already.
You can make whatever donations you can. If you cannot donate, if you're not in a position to make a donation, you have a way of still engaging. You can mobilize your contact group. You could go through all your contacts and send out whatever poster is appropriate within your area. Remember, it's a global event on June 12th, whether it's in New York, whether it's in Lagos, whether it's in Enugu, whether it's in Abuja, wherever you are, there must be a local protest which you can promote amongst your contacts, whether it's your sister, your brother, your girlfriend, your mother, your father, your friends. Just try and engage with them. When you know you've engaged correctly, what will happen is the poster that you sent out will eventually come back to you in a chat. That way you know you sent it out to the point of people sharing it. So not only sending it out, getting people to equally share it. That's all I have to say at this point in time. But please stay tuned to all announcements and keep looking on various different WhatsApp channels. And let's make this June 12th the thing that will shake Buhari out of office. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. So, because the number were asking questions about how to join the actions in their respective states. Still, the June 12th protest is going to be happening all over the country, including the diaspora. So, if you're interested, in joining, I'll just implore that we can please drop your contact so that we can message you directly. Drop your contact in the chat section. I will drop my contact as well. The chat section of I'll do my contact as well. So and to join, you can message any of the contact you see on the chat. We're going to leave this call to ensure everybody to pick the contact. Bola, please can you drop your contact on the chat? And in addition, I'll do mine. And the actions June 12th and beyond, because we should look at this as it's not a sprint race, it's marathon. We have this is a school for survivors. Everyone have noted. So please, that is 0901275480. So Mr. Bola, I will encourage you to drop your contact so you can just WhatsApp, please. Just WhatsApp. So the contact is up on the chat section. Check it and ensure you chat for location where you can partake in the struggle, or how you can also send suggestions via this WhatsApp, or how you think we can guys. So you coming out.
Okay. Okay, Comrade Juan, are you done?
Yes, I said back to you.
Okay. So thank you everyone who has stayed on the call. We've gone a few minutes over, so I understand that people are dropping off. Just thank you for listening today. Please get involved in your wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in Nigeria. Get in touch with your local state coordinators, sign up to the WhatsApp groups, do what you can. There is massive oppression. We are trying to highlight the struggle from where we are in different parts of the world. One of the most basic things I can say to everyone, which is just a very basic tip, is whatever you're doing, if you're going to be on the streets, have a partner, have someone that you can message. Do not rely on technology. It may not be available at all, and you have to be prepared for that. So make sure you know who is with you, who your friends are, who your comrades are, where they are at every moment in time. Develop different ways and mechanisms. We all have the creative ability within us, and God and all our ancestors and all those who have fought before us will also be with us. I pray for your protection. I pray that God will give us courage and protect us and be with us as we continue to struggle, and as we continue. We are on the side of justice, we are on the side of righteousness, and they are on the side of evil, and good will triumph over evil. So please go in peace. Thank you for being here today. Aluta continua, Victoria E.
Victoria Asata. Thank you, Communary. I'm going to leave the Zoom open so you can pick the number. So for those of you who are asking, the is taking place every week across the country. So just stop numbers. You'll be directed to where you participate. Thank you. No, we are not asking you to drop your number. You don't drop your number. Just